This episode was brought to you by Autograph Events, our sponsor.
Come take my hand, I will walk with you. I won't let go till you say so. There isn't anything I wouldn't do. Wanna make sure that you understand.
Thank you for tuning in to the Crodie Files.
I'm Craig Bryson.
And I'm Jodie Mears.
And together, we are the Crodie Files.
Administrative assistants leveraging learning for career advancement. In this episode, we will be discussing how assistants can leverage or use learning for their own career advancement. And we'll be exploring some of the latest trends and strategies and discussing learning and development and what that means for you.
Without you, there is no tomorrow. Without you, there is no tomorrow.
When we talk about leveraging, how are we using learning to get to the next stage in your career, and how are we focusing on learning? What does that mean? Do we need learning and development in our roles?
100%.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Definitely.
But I think
we do get people who say, well, you know everything. What more do you need to know?
Exactly. I think we need to take a step back first and just find out, what do you want? You need to look at your goals. Where do you want to end up? If you want the job, or if you want to be in a position in a different sector, you need to start focusing, okay, this is what I want to have. This is where I want to be. And then look and see what courses are out there or learning and development to help you get there. That's important, isn't it?
Definitely. And so knowing your goal.
Yeah.
And almost working backwards so that you can understand what you need to focus on. I've been in roles before where there's been just no help or guidance on where I'm going, what my career path is within the organisation. So there's been a complete lack of focus. And it's okay day to day, because in those times I was just thinking, it's a job. I just want to do my job and go home and get my money and that's it. But when the light bulb turns on and that switch is flipped and you suddenly want more out of life, and by that I mean my professional life, because I spend most of my time at work. You want more, you want to do more. If you don't have that guidance within your organisation on your goals and having those conversations as well of what do you want to do? What are your goals? How can we help you get there? I think you're doomed if you don't have those conversations or that support.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And you need to find out how I would allocate or find my goals is everyday stuff that I am using, software, any professional development opportunities that I can get into, actively seeking professional information that I can try and help myself.
But what you've not always had that mindset.
No, I haven't.
So what was the turning point for you where you suddenly realised, I want more, I want to learn more, I want to grow, I want to sort of nurture this continuous learning mindset? What was there a poignant moment where you decided that you wanted more out of your role as an assistant?
I've been being an assistant for almost 20 years now. I have the passion for this role. So I don't want to be moving out of the assistant role. So I needed to better myself. If I want to be that strategic PA or EA, I needed to better my skills and also understand more of what my exec wanted. I was aligning my goals with my exec to understand, okay, he wants to get there. How can I help him to get there? And there was a lot of areas that you can work on. What did you do? When was your epiphany moment that you changed?
My epiphany moment was learning that there's absolutely zero career advancement in my role and where I was. And I was at that stage where I was being more curious about learning and fed up with just like the social norms of things and just seeking more. And I wasn't sure what I wanted, but just hearing those words and feeling that feeling of, well, that's not what we do here. It's literally, you're here for the rest of your life and that's it.
Yeah.
That scared me to think, oh my gosh, am I actually going to be sitting here in this seat, tapping this keyboard probably that moment of, is this it? Is there really nothing more here that can stretch my learning, my development, my creativity? And that was really heartbreaking, because at the time I loved where I was, what I was doing, and it just didn't align with what I then became to want.
Yeah.
And having that heartbreak moment where you love where you are, but it's really not serving you,
Mm.
it can go two ways. You can continue to accept it and just waste even more years of your life there, doing the same old stuff, getting absolutely nowhere, going around and around in circles, and nothing changes year on year.
And loyalty doesn't pay, does it?
It absolutely doesn't. I mean, depends what your drivers are, whether it
Yeah.
is salary increase, but it wasn't necessarily that for me. I mean, it did play a factor, because you think, right, I'm getting to a certain age now and I'm still earning 20-something's salary. What do I need to do to propel myself forward and progress? And it all comes back to having a career advancement mindset and a learning mindset. Never stop learning. It is a hashtag on LinkedIn. And whether you think that's, you're very work related all the time, Jodie, or not.
No, I love learning. And I will always say, no, knowledge is power. And if you're wanting to, well, I deserve a pay rise, you got to prove it. You got to prove why you deserve that. So by proving that, you need to change your skill sets. You need to improve that. You need to improve different areas of your job that you can make it streamlined. Everything is based on time. How can you do a job shorter, quicker, more efficient, attention to detail? And that's what your learning and development will stem from, on how to improve.
It will
yourself.
grow from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's key to point that out, is having those conversations of, well, what do I need to do? Not can I have,
Yeah.
is reframing your questions. What do I need to do in this organisation to go to the next level in administrative support, if you want to stay? Or what do I need to do or show you to get a substantial pay rise? And I think if you just listen with your eyes and your ears to those answers, it really helps to understand if that's the right place for you. If they say, well, we could consider you for a management role, but you need to bridge the gap of your current skills, and you'll quickly find out whether they've got plans for you or not, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's when you need to make decisions of cut and run, or just put up with it. And for me, I needed to do something. I was feeling that urge to have change in my life, positive change.
And I managed to be introduced to somebody. There was a great mentorship, and I look up to my exec. He's great mentor, how he does things, how he carries himself. And we have a chat, and he sort of helps me, and he doesn't tell me what he needs to do. Sort of the way he asks questions, and then when I'm answering them, because I'm physically saying the words, I'm like, oh, I know what I need to do.
Answered.
I've just answered.
Yeah.
And that's very clever for mentors, when they don't tell you what you need to do and this is how you do it. They ask you questions that when you answer it, it's brilliant. And I think that's what also a great leverage of learning and progressing within your career.
So when you were seeking out sort of professional development opportunities, where did you look?
Sometimes the company that you're working for have a lot of that information, but there are courses out there that you can do. But then when you go back to your office, oh, I can't use any of this.
It all goes, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's like studying there, coming here, and it doesn't work. I use a lot of other platforms, YouTube, watching other people's podcasts and learning from other people. Because I'm more of a visual person, as you know.
Yes,
I always like watching, and then I can physically remember it. But when it's somebody just standing in front and then just dictating, and this is how it is, this is how it's, I can't absorb that. So you need to understand how you're able to learn quickly and easily. And I think workshops are great.
Well, it's your learning style, understanding, being self-aware to understand conferences work for me, they don't work for you.
No.
Webinars work for you, they don't work for me. Really be realistic with yourself. Don't be bamboozled, if you like, by lovely marketing, pretty advertisements or free travel. If you come to this conference, or we include lunch and teas and coffees, but during the break, you think, oh, wow. And understanding what it is you need before you sign up and potentially waste your time. I've been on a lot of courses that in the moment were absolutely excellent. I get into it. I'm taking a million pages of notes. I'm absorbing it. I'm getting really pumped and enthusiastic during the sessions. And then, like you said, you get back to the office and you think, oh, how am I going to implement any changes in this place? They're never going to listen to me. But I think if you understand what the limitations are, you won't be disappointed, which is what I've learned from those experiences. They appreciate you coming back to the office all pumped and full of energy about what you've just learned. But if you dial that back a little and then pick and choose elements of that course that you know that you could potentially change the way you do things in the organisation, and have a plan and say 80% of the course was amazing, but in reality, I think I could actually use 40%, but I could only maybe use 10% on a daily basis. But if I put this plan together, maybe I could approach management and executives to change processes to implement things that I've learned on this course. So it depends how you view it and what works for you. But I would always just seek out those learning opportunities that align with my skills gaps and be realistic of what you're missing.
I totally 100% agree, but it doesn't necessarily always the learning that you're doing is for work. I enjoy doing graphics and learning software. So using my Mac, creating some amazing images with these various softwares that I'm using. But that's when I retain more of how I learned, because I have a passion for it. But then when I go back to the office, I can now do amazing PowerPoints because I've learned from this software items and images, and you can do this and this. And then when I go back and use the PowerPoint or whatever software you're using for presentation, and I can bring that soft skill that I've learned from my hobby into my work. So it's not necessarily have to always be for work, but whatever you learn, nobody can ever take away from you.
No, and that's where personal and professional development is
Vital.
so vital, because they for me, both of them need to be aligned. You can't be a whiz at tech and anything else to do with the office and then be personally underdeveloped in a way that you can't engage with people, you can't communicate because you've got lack of confidence, or you're suffering with imposter syndrome. That's where the alignment comes, because that's still a skills gap, the life skills gap. And I think when the two align and they almost collide in a train of thought in your head, and you think, oh, if I find that learning and development course that is personal and professional at the same time, not only do I learn to absorb information and take away key points back to the office, but I now have the personal development to be able to express how we can use things in our processes back in the office.
Definitely.
So that personal, professional development needs to happen at the same time. So I would seek out learning and development training courses, webinars, like you said, YouTube, that have a bit of both.
Yeah.
Because you can't solely use 100% of the content of one tech course if you've got zero confidence in talking about it when you've got back to the office and you don't know how to bring it all together.
Yeah.
YouTube is a great way to pick up. You just want a quick, something's in your mind.
Yeah.
You want a quick tip. And then the process for getting a supplier trainer onboarded onto the system, relaying that return on investment on the £595 course plus VAT, that's going to cost you to do.
Yeah.
Then wait for the date and then do the training, get back to the office and realise, oh, that didn't really cover what I wanted to learn. So YouTube for me, for those, how do you do this? How do you do that? Is a great platform.
Yeah.
And with you, I know you do share the knowledge at work and have your own intranet site to share with the other EAs. So that's a quick fix, isn't it?
That is a quick fix. And also it depends on the person who's training you. I found that sometimes when I'm chatting, when I'm listening to a trainer and I can't grasp what that person's trying to tell me or get to me, And then there's other times when this person, the way they talk, the way they articulate, it actually, oh, I know straight away. And it's like a light bulb moment again. I know how to do it now. It's just how you were taught, or how you were trained. And that's also
Yeah.
has to be very careful about where you get that.
Yeah. Some trainers will talk in riddles rather than just get to the point and show you or tell you exactly what you need to do step by step, which it lacks for me. And like you, I need real life examples of what you're saying
Yeah.
so I can make it relatable in my everyday role, not just a headline theory, which is great, but how does that sort of transpire back to me sitting at my desk and doing a task that involves implementing what you've just taught me? I need to be shown, if you like, the real return on investment. And that's where seeking out the correct learning and development for your career advancement comes in, because there's 1,000,001 choices out there, and not all training courses and trainers are credible. Some of them are just looking for a quick side, a quick buck and a quick side hustle. They're not accredited. They might say that they're accredited, but are they really? Is the time and financial investment you're about to make with that course or trainer actually going to mean anything to your organization when you get back? Are they going to say, well, what does that mean? We've never heard of them. How is it adding value? I think if you circle it back to how it makes your organization save time or save money by you learning X, Y, and Z from that person, win-win.
Yeah, I agree.
That you're going to get training signed off all the time if you can just circle it back, make it really relevant.
And we also have the industry specific learning and development. So I starting to learn things that I never knew before because I never ever had the interest in that. But because I'm working in it, I'm reading up more on it, I'm understanding more about it. And that is actually giving my knowledge more about the whole process of the environment and the sector that you're working, which it actually helps.
So do you mean you're learning more about the organization as opposed to just learning more about Outlook and PowerPoint, which is role specific?
Exactly.
You're actually also utilizing learning and development of your organization and the
sector
the sector or the business in general. That really helps. I do that. I use the intranet a lot. And big corporates, we've had this discussion before, have their own learning and development platforms.
Yeah.
So that's good and bad in a way. Because they offer that, it doesn't leave much room for you to go and seek your own learning and development courses that you think that is relevant to the assistant's role, because the usual answer is we already have a platform and there's as much learning and development and courses on there as you need.
And they're free.
They're free, they're already paid for, or they might provide LinkedIn Learning. It's good, but I haven't come across one of those platforms that have been adopted by a big organisation that is really role specific for administrative professionals.
Yeah.
It's, apart from the obvious Word, Excel, PowerPoint, fine, they have those. But there's no real homed in courses for us as a profession. And that's where seeking other courses or webinars and things like that comes into play. You need to prove that you need that because you currently don't have access to it.
Yeah.
Becoming a bit more technology savvy as well. How are you keeping up with your career advancement with the vast amount of tech training at the moment? I know you love software training anyway, but how are you keeping up to date and learning and choosing what best to learn about?
It's difficult at the moment because you're just flooded with AI and it's just all the time. And it's which one is the best, which one is how. And sometimes the big corporate company is spitting out all this AI software. They haven't got it right yet. And they're still working on it and they're rebranding. And it's difficult to find it. So I'm sticking with the old software that I'm using that are now slowly evolving and updating. And that's helping me. For example, Outlook and OneNote, they are now evolving into something different. I'm hearing a lot in the office. Why they changed the outlook? Why have they changed this
Oh,
layout?
the new
Why are they,
outlook.
oh,
Yeah.
and it's because it's changing with times. And that in itself, you need to start learning how to use. Where's that button gone? It's not there anymore because maybe it's not necessary to use it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm starting to learn not the basics, but going back to how the basics are changing. And that's how it's helping me to understand when you hear those people, oh, where's it? I
You
can
hate
go up.
the change.
They hate change, but I'll go up and say, it's not that difficult. It's right here. It's easy. And it's helping those others to start transitioning from the old to the new. And that's how I'm bettering myself on my technology. If I don't know it, they've got nowhere else to go. And that's how I'm doing my training.
Good.
We're going to have a quick break to have one of our contributors answer a Hi Crodie question. We'll be right back.
Thanks, Craig. So we have a heavyweight of a contributor up next. If you don't yet know how amazing Vonetta Watson is, you're about to. From Texas, USA, Vonetta is a Microsoft certified trainer and educational strategist and is going to provide some great tips in response to our listener question.
Come take my hand, I will walk with you. I won't let go till you say so.
Hi Crodie, I've been an EA for over 30 years now. The technology advances have been epic over this time. What advice would you give to someone just starting out? For example, what should they focus on? Thanks.
Hi, Crodies. Thank you so much for asking me to help you answer this listener question. I am Vonetta Watson, the owner of Tech Gym Educational Technologies located in the United States. I have over 2 decades of experience as a Microsoft certified trainer, an educational technologist, a technology strategist, and international trainer and speaker, author, personal coach, and software migration and implementation specialist. So let's answer our Crodie listener question. What should EAs starting out focus on? I love this question because it's so timeless. No matter where you are in your career, whether it's 1 month or 30 years in, the question is always, what's next? Let's use technology competency as a focus framework, as technology has attributes of soft and hard skills. Technology adaptability is not just a skill, it's a necessity. It's the ability to learn and comprehend new technology confidently and without trepidation. In today's workspace, technology adaptability is like work currency. It's not just valuable, it's essential for work survival and growth. It's imperative to focus on learning, cultivating, and expanding our adaptability skills in the emerging world of technology. As a matter of fact, adaptability, agility, resilience, and integrity have become some of the most crucial leadership qualities. Soft skills. When you adapt, you embrace the idea of new technology. This is technology empowerment. Technology empowerment could be in the form of learning new software programs, hard skills, or the ability to use technology to solve a problem, soft skills. Empowered individuals are able to use technology and understand its limitations and how it can be used to improve their lives and the lives of those around them. I have a AAA approach to technology empowerment. First, we adapt. When we adapt, we are ready to embrace the use of new technology, like updating our smartphones. Yes, I said it. Go ahead and update. Now we're ready to adopt, which means we can learn and comprehend the new technology with confidence and, again, without trepidation, leading to skill advancement. These skills and knowledge are based on our collective learning. Tooling up. Think of every technology you've ever learned over time. I mean, every last one, from as far back as you can think. Okay? This is what's in your digital toolbox. Now, visualize those tools as actual objects, if you will. Do you see them? Great. Now, are they all shiny, or are some of them rusting and need replacing? This replacement is the tooling up, the continuous cycle of new tools to get the job done. Now, although your toolbox is unique to you as mine is to me, they all fundamentally share some of the following attributes. It's one's interests and skills, work, personal experiences, strengths, and challenges. Kind of, if you will, our human experience with everything that we've ever done. Evaluating your toolbox is the first step to leveraging learning and reaching a continuous cycle of tooling up. This allows you to grow with current technology, but also opens the door to other technologies with similar platforms. Maintaining tooling up truly takes shape when you grab hold of the technology while it advances. Move and learn when it shifts.
Wow. Thank you so much, Vonetta, for your invaluable insights into technology empowerment. I love the AAA approach. Please check out the show notes for links to connect with Vonetta today to learn more.
We're now going to get back into discussing this episode. For me, I'm seeing a lot of questions around the chief of staff role.
Oh, yes.
From being an executive assistant and the natural assumed progression. I'm not sure I agree with it because the chief of staff role is so ambiguous and almost undefined, depending on what sector you're from, what your business views it as, how it's currently used within the business, and what you need to progress, or going back to the title, how you leveraging the learning for your career advancement if you already know your end goal then. So we spoke at the beginning about understanding what your goal is first to then align your learning with that goal so you know what you need. So when we're talking about chief of staff, which is absolutely everywhere at the moment, isn't it? On
Everywhere,
panel
yeah.
discussions, articles, particularly I'm talking for administrative assistants moving into chief of staff roles. What are the learning or professional certifications needed for that kind of role? Yeah, what is the validity of
Yeah,
it? What does
yeah.
it mean if you get it? But I know one thing, that there is not one universal global certification that will get you anywhere nearer being considered for the chief of staff role. There isn't one particular one. There's nothing you can particularly focus on. However, understanding, firstly, if you want to stay in the organisation that you're already in, do they actually need a chief of staff?
Exactly.
Understanding that first. Do they need one? Is there one already? If there's one already, talk to them. Find out how they got into that role. What did they hold in their armory of learning and certification? And think, how does that align with me right now? What am I missing from that?
Yeah.
And if you look at the chief of staff role, in my newsletter, the assist list that we contribute together with, I talk about a course that I found on LinkedIn Learning. And it's not a course, it's more of an introduction chat. It's only about 18 minutes long. But this person explains all of the attributes of a chief of staff. And it sounds so much like an executive assistant.
Glorified.
It does. It sounds so much like what we can do and what we do. So identifying the gaps, the skills gaps that you might have that aligns with what a chief of staff in, say, your organisation that you're already in needs, and then backtracking again and seeking out those opportunities where you can fill those gaps will help you align and be ready for that career advancement when it becomes available for you as an opportunity.
You agree? I 100%. But I always think to myself, I enjoy my position as an EA. Do I want to go into a chief of staff? I mean, going to be leaving EA, or you're going to be sort of managing the whole EA?
Not necessarily, because some chief of staff roles still hang on to that assistant role in some capacity, but then other business sectors, it's so far removed from an executive assistant. And I see EAs of chief of staff because they still need that support, but it is completely different. You are supporting usually the founder or a CEO. You're helping drive the business goals forward, working cross-departmentally. You're working with other senior leaders. It's a heavily reporting role, as well as bringing everyone together and touching on all of the elements of an organization and departments and bringing everything together.
Gosh, that's a lot of
It's
responsibility.
a lot, yeah. So it really depends. In my mind then, I'm still thinking big corporate.
Yeah.
But then if you think of a chief of staff role in like government,
Yeah.
completely different, totally different. But then chief of staff in a tech startup or a smaller boutique firm, totally doable.
Yeah.
You could add so much value to that.
Yeah, we've done my street.
And all of those options are fine. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean any one chief of staff role is any lesser than the next one.
Yeah.
There's just something for everybody.
Yeah.
But my top tip for this episode, Craig, is align everything with your vision and your goal of where you want to get to, and
Agreed.
seek out the right training opportunities, not any training opportunity.
Yeah.
Go deep and not wide.
My top tip is you have to look into yourself and find out, what do you want? What do you want to learn? And what you're learning, will that be able to carry on through everything you're doing? Don't just learn things that you're going to forget in a couple of weeks. Think that it's going to be using every day and grow from it. And that's will make you a better
Is it
person.
relevant?
Is it relevant? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we've got time for this episode, Craig. That's a good one as well.
It
It
is.
a really good conversation? And we hope that you found elements or all of this discussion informative and helpful and insightful, of course. And if you have any questions or comments to add to the discussion, please feel free to get in touch with us through our social media, LinkedIn specifically. We have our own DM inbox there, and through craigandjody.com. You can send in a Hi Crodie question, which will be featured on one of our future episodes.
In our next episode, we're going to look at future of learning and development. I'm looking forward to this one.
Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts from, and leave a 5-star review wherever you can. This helps us stay visible to you. And your feedback really helps us improve and grow, as well as grow our community of administrative assistants globally.
I'm Craig Bryson.
And I'm Jodie Mears.
And together, we are the Crodie Files. This episode was brought to you by Autograph Events, our sponsor.